Okay, intuition, part 2. That's what happens when you don't realize you have a dying phone battery and your phone dies on you in the middle of a video. If you're just popping in here, I am Morgan Wild of Rising Warrior Collective, and I'm talking about intuition in relation to childhood trauma survivors. If you're just popping in here, know that this is part 2 of a video. You might want to go back to the one before this and listen to that first. I'm gonna pick up where I left off. So I was talking about if you are recognizing in your adult life now, or if you can look back over your adult life and recognize how you typically struggle with connecting with your intuition, listening to your gut feeling, following that little voice in your head that's telling you to do one thing, but your brain kicks in and sends you in the opposite direction or denies that that's the real thing that you should be doing. I just want to connect the dots between why that's happening. Let's just take an example of a relationship. Deciding if you are in a relationship that you want to continue, or if that's a relationship that you're ready to shed and move forward in your life, that it's just not the right relationship for you. Our intuition, if you were to get really quiet and you were to get really honest with yourself, take space, take self-care, do whatever it takes to connect with yourself, your intuition is going to tell you right now what the answer is. And whatever that is, that's the answer. That's your truth. But what happens is life gets in the way. We may not be used to self-care. We may not be used to a meditation practice. We may not be used to getting quiet. We might be really afraid of getting quiet because getting quiet brings up a lot of memories. It brings up a lot of past. We don't know what we're going to find in the quiet. So we really do everything to avoid creating space where we can hear our intuition. And instead, what we hear is our brain. And we hear the hamster wheel, and we hear the thoughts and the doubts and the fears and the anxieties, and that's all we're hearing. And when it is left up to just our brain wants to protect us. That's the protective part that wants to say, everything is okay. You are comfortable in this relationship. He or she is good enough. Everything feels fine. Why can't you just let it be? It must be you. And our brain will start to send us in circles of all the things that it can put on your plate to make you feel like, for lack of better words, makes us feel crazy. It makes us feel insane because we're like, I feel this thing in my gut, but it's such a shallow feeling because I haven't given it time to be heard, to get quiet and listen to it. So it's there, but it's so little. But the thoughts in my brain are so loud that they must be right. So it sends us into this state of denial and doubt and anxiety, the same space that our adults sent us to as children. We knew in our heart, we knew in our gut, we knew what was happening. But the adults in our lives got into our head. They sent us into the doubt, into the questioning ourselves. And that's the same cycle that we were sent out into the world with. And now as adults, that's what we're battling. Yes, on some level, everyone's going to struggle a little bit with connecting to their intuition. It's just, in general, it can be a really challenging thing to do because it's scary, because most of the time our intuition is often sending us in a direction that is out of our comfort zone, is going to cause us to be more vulnerable. It might cause us to shed and get rid of things that have been around for a long time, people that have been around for a long time, jobs that we've been in for a long time, relationships that we've had around for a while. It might be asking us to shed those things. And by listening to our intuition, we're putting ourselves into states of potential danger, which is what our brain wants us to think and feel. And we go back into that state of feeling what it felt like to be a child and to be so vulnerable. And when those feelings come back up, it feels like that old pattern of, let me dim down the intuition, let me dim down what my stomach is telling me, what my heart is telling me, this voice in my head. If I listen to that, I'm going to put myself in intentional danger. That's what our brain wants us to think. So I hope that kind of sheds a little bit of light on why this happens, why, we can read things all over, listen to your intuition, it knows best, it's sending you in the right direction. We can hear it over and over again, right? But as trauma survivors, that can kind of make us feel worse, because we're like, okay, I hear you, I hear these things that you're saying, and I understand that I should listen to it, but I physically can't. I cannot connect with it. It puts me into such fear to listen to what that's telling me to do and to go in that direction, that I go into freeze and fight or flight. And then I go back and I listen to my brain, and I listen to the logical side of things, which is to stay right where I'm at. And then that's how so many of us get stuck where we're at, and we don't make moves. We don't get out of the quicksand. But I understand that it's difficult and it's challenging and it can be really scary. But I'm here to tell you that with practice, it gets easier. It really does. And, you don't have to start with the big things today. You don't have to start today on your first day of trying to listen to your intuition, of being like, okay, I'm going to end my 20-year relationship that I've been unhappy in for the last 15. That's a big step to take right away, right? What can you do today to listen to your intuition on a small level that puts you in no danger? A great place to start is asking your intuition what you need around your self-care. What can I do to take care of myself today? And just get quiet. Sit down in a space where you feel comfortable. Sit down on a couch in your living room. Close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Get really quiet and just ask, what do I need today? What do I need around my self-care? What do I need around my rest? What do I need around movement? I'm really struggling to figure out what it is that I need just today. And I'm listening. And then just get quiet for a few minutes. I can almost guarantee you something's going to come up. And whatever that is, that's what you need. And practice that way. Practice on this small level of asking to connect with it in spaces and areas where it feels less threatening. Work on that for a while. Work on that for a few weeks, for a few months. I mean, heck, for some people, myself included, like, it took me years to practice this and get to the point where I know without a doubt that my intuition is so on fire. It is always, it never fails me. I might fail it sometimes still. I might hear it and not listen to it and recognize afterwards, like, oh, damn, I should have listened. That's totally what I felt like I should have done. But it's not judging ourselves, it's practice. And it can take time. I'd love to hear if this resonated with you. I'd love to hear if you wanted to share your stories, any part of your childhood where you can recognize where your intuition got shoved down and it got overshadowed by the trauma and the dysfunction in your life. I'd love to continue the conversations if you have any questions, if you want some more clarity around this topic. And yeah, if you feel like there was something in this conversation that you felt really called to continue the conversation, but it feels a little uncomfortable to do that in public, in a public space like this, feel free to DM me, and let's continue the conversation. All right. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I hope everyone has a good evening, and we'll talk again soon.